Would it have been better if she was in the dark about who her real father was?
I think so. I mean, it's a bad situation.
Way they handled it, just for me, just it made sense. I'm like, actually, it would have been better if it was just a secret.
It would have been if she thought that her father was Magesh and
Yeah.
then found out later that actually it's not. It's a Kuli.
Hi guys, hi guys. Welcome to Chat with Nat with me, Natasha. My friends call me Nat, so you can too. Guys, I can't even. I had a whole plan for the intro, but the polygamist. Sorry, I know if you're one of those people who have not been watching Netflix, and you've seen everyone talk about the polygamist, you're like, oh my god, you guys again. Yes, this episode is going to be a review of the polygamist. So there's going to be spoilers. So if you haven't finished it, you may want to skip this, finish, then come back. But yeah, so before I get let me introduce my guests. So I'm not alone. So I've got a dynamic crew. We've got
Dynamic trio.
dynamic crew. So we've got here, and both of you will be familiar. Maybe Seda hasn't been in on in it's Kiwa hasn't
It's
been on
gone.
in a while. Okay, so first of all, we've got Amanda Joyce Vanda. The J is very important. Filmmaker extraordinaire.
Some respect on the J.
Put some respect on the J. And I know, like Amanda, people always like, please bring Amanda back. So thank you, Amanda, for because I sent an SOS yesterday. I said, please, we need you. So we've got
We back. We up.
exact. So we've got Amanda, and I've been loving your reviews on TikTok. So we'll get into that, and obviously it'll be great to kind of have your filmmaking perspective on this. And then we've got the lawyer extraordinaire. The IP expert, Sena Moyo from 6 Foot Weights. He's here as in daughter, as a man.
The devil's advocate.
As Lingangfagi in the toxic space. Otherwise, people will look at me and say, "Oh, no, Jonas ngowakhe."
So yeah, okay.
But
So
nice to be here. Thanks for having us, Nat.
no. Thank you. Okay, so where do we start? I think first of all, I just wanted to say, I'm sure a lot of people who've watched this already know that the Polygamist is an adaptation from a book that was written by Sue Nyathi, that she self-published in 2012, and Sue Nyathi is our sister. We are claiming her. She is our Ndebele
What?
sister, our Zim sister. So, as in Kenya, we are so proud. We are so happy. We are Sue. Oh my God, amazing! I saw someone tweeted. I think it was Kandora saying, "Oh, I can't imagine what it's like to be Sue at this moment, right? Having something that you've created." Being liked and talked about and consumed at such scale. And I was like, yeah, yeah. And I know Sue for a while anyway on her social she had been quiet for some years, and it's just like when you see people kind of like show like yeah this is what has been happening. So amazing, amazing. And I just want to say, like, I read her book The Gold Diggers. Also, I didn't read The Polygamist. I read
Yeah,
Gold
me
Diggers.
neither.
Gold Diggers is up there, guys. It is one of my it's up there. It's one of my favorite books. I want to see it on screen ASAP.
And that's how I felt when I read Gold Diggers. And I remember being upset that I couldn't find the polygamist. That's the thing. I hope right now, Sue, please republish. Because when the polygamist came out, Udala, I remember like it was such a buzz about it, but I couldn't get the book. And I don't know why every time I went to South Africa, I never bothered to try and look for it in the bookstores in South Africa. And I wish I had. But then the Gold Diggers came out, and I was like, okay, fine. So I got that. And I was like, this right here, this is the series. but
Yeah.
also because, man, it made me feel so sad. I'm like, Sue, the way that you're writing you these stories, and I think the essence of the way that she can capture a moment and a time. And I remember, like, even one of the most significant things for me with Gold Diggers, for example, like, is the beginning and how she talked about, who kulega in the Mchoveni when you're on your way to like a long distance thing, and seeing that written was something else. Like, I think because, as you know, Zimbabwean, it's a lived experience. Like, sometimes I forget. Like, I go home and I go on CityLink and then they pray, and I'm like, oh, this is how we do things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you're used to flights here, you go on the train, no one does anything like that.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
there's something that's just significantly like ours.
It's
Mm-hmm.
And
very
so looking at
relatable.
that and how she can capture those things.
It's very
Um,
relatable. Even
yeah,
when we're just watching The Polygamist over the weekend, I think what a lot of people found is that in as much as perhaps as a story, it's a story, unlike any other story you'll probably find on TV. But I think what resonated with a lot of people were the personal stories that came afterwards, where it's like, hey, I once did this exact same thing. I did it with my father. It happened with whoever. And I think that's the brilliance of it though. Exactly what you're saying, Amanda. Ukuthi mawuse emchoveni, and then you see someone write about it and then you see it in the mainstream. You have that, oh hey, you almost feel seen in a way in which in the way we consume
exactly.
media and books we never are. Like NYPD, drop your weapon. Like that's never something that's happened to me ever in life.
No.
Um
Freeze. Sorry.
freeze.
But I think that's the thing, though, is that like a polygamist, it is that thing of people feeling seen, but also people feeling heard. And I think the level of, I'd say, validation of experiences, but also what I think will be very healing for a lot of people with the polygamist is that it will show what you look like in certain situations. Because a lot of the time, I speak for myself. There's been a moment when I have been one of those people. And I'm like, whoo, girl, you were crazy. You looked
Sorry,
crazy saying that about that man.
one of which people?
Exactly.
Hey, 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 hey. Well, I've never been married, so let's put it that way. That's what I'm going to say. But you realize it, but I think it's important to have people that show you how crazy you look. But even in like the sense of like with Joyce and stuff, I mean, the clip that keeps getting played more and more like on Twitter is the one where she runs after him and she holds his leg. Jesus Christ. I don't know how many women probably can see themselves in that and
Yeah.
be like, oh, actually reminds me of, remember like Oprah where she talked about that she was with a man who didn't like her, didn't love her, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And she tried to basically grab him. Like I think he was walking out of the apartment and I
Yeah.
think he closed the door in her hand.
Oh.
She was like, I can't believe I was that desperate. But like it's like a lot of the time, no matter like a lot of the time, I think I don't know, there's some ways in which media can help you to see yourself
Mm-hmm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
see that and you think, okay, maybe never again.
Yep. Yep. No, no, I definitely agree with you because I too have had a very embarrassing, please. Please. What a low time that was. But anyway, okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Okay.
Okay. I was wondering, like, should we do like by character or by themes? Right. So maybe let's start at the beginning with Jonasi, Joyce, right? That whole dynamic and Matipa. Because obviously we kind of were introduced to, how do I say it? Is it Matipa? I feel like I keep saying it wrong.
Maybe
Um,
with a more solid T.
oh,
Yeah,
Matipa. Ah,
Matipa.
So you've Ndebelerized it.
thank you. Thank you. Exactly. And then we kind of see that sort of a classic, ambitious woman in corporate who kind of, to me, it looked like this wasn't her first time getting her way in that way. So she kind of knew how to navigate. We first meet her when she's with Magesh, apparently. And we immediately understand Rutu Magesh is married. Obviously, we'll put a pin on that. And then just that whole her then sort of like wanting to get this promotion and wanting to meet to Jonasi, that I guess that whole sort of like corporate side chick, whatever. I think it was kind of like a theme that we've seen before, right? We've seen this play, we've seen this type of women before. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on, I guess, that. And then, like I said, we can kind of go by character or by theme. I'm happy to go with whatever you guys are comfortable with.
Yeah, I think for me the Joyce and Jonas dynamic with Matipa coming in, I think is indicative of how a lot of the time when someone like Matipa comes in, they think they're bigger than the program. They always think that Joyce is whether they believe everything that Jonas is saying about Joyce without knowing what it is that Joyce has put into it and how much she actually has built. She's built that thing. J&J. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you want to come in and you want to act like, hey, when you're the new thing on the block. And also, too, that when you come in, he is going to be satisfied, right? Because that's always, I think, the conversations in this space is that, this person's not doing this. Therefore, when I come in, I'm going to be the one and only.
Yep. Yep.
Only to realize that you're one of many.
Yo.
And the way that in itself plays out, but also I'll say like one of my favorite storytelling moments that they did was I think maybe I might be fast forwarding a bit, but when what's the name? Joyce finds out about the twins and how what he's telling Joyce and what actually happened with Matipa, like they're doing the juxtaposition.
Yep.
And then he actually cries. Like, how many of those stories do people like, where someone will tell you, village, she came on to me, she did this, she did that. In good, not the Kali. On his knees. That man was on his knees crying. A senior. Right?
Yeah.
And like, how even with Matipa, she doesn't know that, Joyce isn't being told this. Right? Because like, I don't know, I feel like women sometimes we fill in the gaps where you think because he's telling me this, therefore it is true, or because he's telling her this, therefore this is that.
Yeah.
And so that triangle dynamic was brilliantly told.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even like the fact that at some point, Usofa Slahlane became an insult. When Jonas was saying to Joyce Sofa Slahlane, and there's a time when it turned.
Yep.
And it became like so fast, not like in the romantic, side of things. And so
I took it as more of a threat, actually. I read it as
yes,
more of I'm threatening you, Uti. So fast now. It's like, yay.
are we in town, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's the fact that like I love the way that they really showed us the 360 of that relationship. So from the beginning to so fast in a way that's like, okay. And then Matipa dynamic of realizing that actually you're just one of many. Sorry, I was so much. I feel like I mean, first thing to say, Matipa and Joyce, how they look alike as well, which I think I don't know whether that was a creative choice or whatever. Is that there were times when one of them would enter the scene and I would have to almost like recalibrate my brain and be like, oh no, this is Joyce or this is Matipa, and realizing that Jonas always had a type and Essie was never his type. And so the whole thing of like, I know I'm bringing Essie in now, but like, it's the thing where you realize that for Jonas, his status and everything always had a type. And so the only people that he was ready to put on looked a certain way. And so even with Essie holding on the side, it was never gonna be her. And even though she's always there at the side to, nurse and build a bear, basically. But Joyce and Matipa were always going to be the main types, the ones that he was going to claim.
And I think that's clear by the fact that they were hidden, right? And it's almost like he was embarrassed by her and the whole family that came from it. Fine, there's an element of he doesn't want to compromise his company and his business that he's built. And you can see that that's what he holds dearest. I I don't know. I looked at and when it comes to the dynamic of it's the typical sort of story, right? A rich, successful man, him and his wife make it to the top, and then all of a sudden he starts flirting with the younger co-worker, intern, whatever it is, receptionist. I mean, I think we see this story a dozen times. My thing is it not just like the way I look at Jonas, and maybe men might look at him with a different lens than women might, but that just felt like the ultimate fulfillment of a lot of what men imagine power looks like. So I get to the top, I have a wife, I have the money, I have the status, I have everything. And then at some point, in some environments, I'm not saying all, in some environments, having the pretty side chick is almost like the little icing on the cake for a lot of guys. And I sometimes think I don't know if women come into the program knowing that Oguti is all part of like this big game. You're not necessarily making the man fall in love with you. You're just one of his other checks note when you're coming into it as a young woman to threaten his marriage. I don't know. Maybe she did think she was bigger than the program, but the way I looked at it was she's not conscious of the power dynamics at play, which that this is all about money. And for him, or for Jonasi, at least I kind of got the impression that, yeah, it's just a manifestation of ultimate power for an African man. Like,
Yeah.
Well, but like
it's
Matipa thought she
probably,
was big at the program. That's why she came in that red dress to the vow renewal or whatever.
what's
She
the issue
thought
with the
that
red
she was
dress?
there to
Sorry.
eat.
As a
What?
man, I don't understand the significance of the red dress. I didn't get it. I see
Oh,
like
the red
women were
dress
very,
that's sex. That's femme fatale. That's the
ah,
idea of like you're coming in where umuntu in this thing, and so you're coming in to state your claim, and you're saying to Joyce, this man is not coming. That's why I'm finally she bigger the program. So Jonas is not coming. One. Two, even the way that she started speaking to Jonas and him saying, Aguzvan,
mm,
this is not how you speak to me, because she thought she was bigger than the program. She thought that when she comes in, Muya who's gonna now decide what happens. Because also at the end of the day, Jonas also moved out, right?
Mm,
Remember, I
yes.
moved out and moved in with her. So
mm.
when that happens, the other person thinks that, manje, here we go. It's my time now.
Yeah,
Only to realize that this man is like, I am never leaving my wife.
yeah, and just on the like not being bigger than the program, right? I think there's something you guys have already touched on it. Tuti, the whole like you've left, okay, you've given me the promotion, you've given me the whatever you've done, you've made me feel like I'm the number one. If so, going back to that scene where she was at the I don't know saloon or whatever, right? And she's on the phone and basically trashing Joyce, right? And then Joyce comes and beats her up. But she's been made to feel a certain way. And the fact that the man has moved in with you, and I think it's a lot of women, there's stuff that men do that you're like, oh, you've introduced me to your family. Of course, it means. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, we moved it. Of course, it means. And then later on, for Jonas to be like, "That's my wife," and you're like, "Huh? What do you mean? Why are you doing all this? Like everyone at JJ knows that I'm the person. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe because Senna, you said about men and how they think, but
No, but
yeah.
there has to be a point of common sense that must hit you as a woman where it's like, no, man, he's still with his wife.
But the actions, I think
Um,
that's the thing. It's what you hope happens. But
yes, you're
actually, the reality of it is that 9 times out of 10, the person is there wanting to believe the lies. But also, too, is what's that sunken cost fallacy, right? Is that I've put in enough in the game now at this point that I need this man to just do right by me.
but it's also
And
something the
so
brain
there is
does.
that, pardon?
It's also something the brain does subconsciously
Yeah,
where it colors the red pink and the pink
yeah,
slightly less pink, and then at some point it becomes white. and
yeah.
and
And
it's
so,
just you telling yourself, okay, he loves me, even though you know that he loves someone else. He loves me more than his wife,
Mhm.
even though you know that that's the love of his life. Then it's like, okay, he loves me enough to leave his wife, and then you just keep lying to yourself over and over again. And that's where I then ask Uti, at some point, something in you has to be like, okay, hang on here. Where am I? Like, let me look around. I'm currently sleeping with a married man who has children, accompanied with this woman. He hasn't made any sort of commitment to me other than to say he's leaving his wife. And then he changes his mind, he goes back, and then he tells me to behave. There has to be a point where maybe Amanda, the question is, when does she realize she's not bigger than the program? When does the switch hit? Ukuthi actually I'm part of one big power play here with all these other women.
Unfortunately, I think for Matipa, she realized too late. Like when things got physical. I feel like that was the moment of like, oh snap! Like I'm not who he. Like I'm not. He's not gonna change because I think in her mind she thought that, oh, at some point, as much as this is happening with Joyce, whatever. Joyce is the one who's like you know bewitching people. Like people always think that or Joyce is manipulating him, or Joyce is doing this. So a lot of things as well. Like there's that saying that, you know, like when anything goes wrong, the compass always points to a woman. And that also women do that as well. So instead of saying Jonas is the problem, you're saying, oh, Joyce is the one who's making him do this. Joyce is the one who's manipulating him to do this. And Joyce is so, but then once you start to have the experiences with him doing something to you, and unfortunately it had to be as drastic as something that physical, that's when it's the thing is like, oh, actually snap, this is going to be that this is a never ending
Yeah.
story.
Although my thing is, I think that's too late. Like I think, of course it is,
Oh, it's
but
definitely
in
too
my
late. I think
mind,
I think a
it's
lot of the time
definitely
people
too
need to
late.
realize much earlier.
Yeah, and that's where I think my point is just always at some point she should have been the one to be like, common sense dictates Uguti, there's no place for me here. Or if there is a place for me, my place is in the shadows as the side chick. And that's all it's going to be.
I think that divorce papers would have been the place where she would have, not like when you filed for divorce and then
Mm.
signing didn't happen there. That should have been Matipa's sign to be like,
Yeah,
amen. Because that didn't happen. Also, too, he moved back.
yeah.
My guy.
And then talking about stuff like the moving back, right? Let's go to the vow renewal, right? Because I thought
Ninja was my
um
favorite.
that was amazing. Because obviously we talked about the red dress, Matipa coming in, right? But there was the scene where uh Jonasi which is my favorite scene because I feel like I've seen it play out in real life so many times, right? And I've probably maybe even participated in it's the part where I don't know if it's before or after the ceremony, but they're sort of like greeting guests and they're like, oh yeah, but Lindani, oh go and sit down. And then they start arguing, and then he's like, Joyce, how low can you go? And then that's when we find out that she called the minister's wife, and that's how, like, he was strong armed into coming in. And then she's like, oh, you're my husband. And then there's people coming in, the minister and the wife coming in, and then they kind of turn their fight to be like, hi, when I just thought that was so perfect because I feel like a lot of life, a lot of relationship is about the performance, the sort of like public performance. And for me, I was like, oh, and I feel like at that point, probably Jonas, he was like, I like your game, which is what then leads us later to him being like, Yago Kubula, I missed you. Like, what are
Because
you on
I
about?
think in a lot of ways, Joyce was always like equally yoked with Jonas. And I think that's the thing that kind of comes back time and time again. In the sense that I think he definitely enjoyed her like as a person. It's just that in Jay spiritual favor just wouldn't let him go.
I think he also
But
likes the idea of a wife who's successful in her own right and helps him be
yes,
successful and supports. I mean, if you talk to any guy, like what do you want in a wife and a woman? Like, oh, someone who helped me achieve my dreams and all these. I know it sounds airy fairy, but it's genuinely things that people take into consideration when they're like, oh, this is what I want in a wife. And sometimes you then look at who they like on Instagram and who they they cheat with or whoever it is, and you're like, yeah, chief, that may not be it. It may not be specifically your type. And I think it was beneficial for him to stay with her. I think for financial reasons, and I think you can even tell at various points how desperate he is to hold on to her, to hold on to the life, because I don't think the life is there without her contributions.
Yep.
Even like when you talk about like the whole thing with his birthdays, it's like Joyce gave him such stability that he knew like clockwork. She was always gonna do this. Like there was always a reliance on her in being able to just be there. And I think he then was kind of seeing that the other women are not willing to do what Joyce is willing to do. I mean, even the fact that she went over to his place with Matipa to say that he needs to be there for the vow renewal. I mean, who does that? At that point, you cancel the thing and you move on with your life, right? But it's the thing where I think in his mind, he really also enjoyed that Joyce fought for him. I think that was also like something that he got off on. And what I wanted to say though about the whole thing of him coming back home is that it's one of those moments where I'm like, how many people our generation experienced that? Where Ubaba would have gone for months, weeks, years. Then you wake up one day and Ubaba's home and you're like, Chief,
And then the system changes, right? All of
huh,
a sudden, he's back and he's a patriarch. Then
huh,
Shalani, five as single women in the house.
huh.
Ningenzi Luto, now dinner must be made at 6 and we must be ready.
There was laughter in the house.
You
Now
couldn't.
this man is back and he's saying Baba Wendlu. And literally I could point at like at least I'm like, that happened to that person, that happened to that. And part of the thing of being seen is that also you start to see what that must have really been like. Because you know when you hear about it, someone says, oh, Baba's back or whatever, and you don't have, I think, maybe too much of a visual idea. And so to really kind of, I think these stories are important in that they show you what that must have been like to be like, oh, snap. So this is what this person must have been going through, like when this and this was happening. And also realizing that how crazy it looks when you come back home after, my God, guys. Please.
And and I think because we'll get to the children, right? And I want to talk about Essie. But I think there's a thread here that's really important to highlight. I think it really shows that a physical relationship, physical intimacy, I know people downplay it, but it's so deep because that's the thing that brings Ubaba back home and makes the mom and be like, oh yeah, everything's fine because they've kind of spoken to
They
each
slept
other in a
together
different way.
once and then
That the
he's back.
yeah, but that the children just can't fathom, right? So all these women, it's like there's this, and I know like men always be like, oh, sex is just sex, but no, because look at what it can negotiate, right? No, that's the truth. That's why we're where we are. That's why Essie is quiet. That's why Matipa's like, yeah, I'll be the second wife. Like, look how deep it is because like that scene, like Boom and Men's are like, what? But they've had their fun and she's ready to tell Don be the mother. No, okay, no, Baba is back. What? Ah,
But
guys.
there's a lot of, okay, how much is that tied to shame of an unsuccessful marriage? Because I think for Joyce especially, and when you kind of there's the Venezuela culture that of course we know is in African households for women, you must stay through it all and all of that, right? Um, but how much for her was the embarrassment? Because Aniti, the whole thing was okay. Even at the party, we have to be together. The engagement party is coming up. You can't divorce me before it. All of it is so that the household appears united and fine. And even when the mother says, "Bro, here you will live in a body bag in this marriage," but for her, the desperation of Uguti, yo, I need my household back. I need my marriage back for whether social status or for our own happiness or financial security, whatever it is. But it kind of feels like that you hold on to anything that brings Obaba back to the house. And if it means you interpret sleeping together once as okay, he's back, then that's it. Then that's what you hold on to. Okay, he's back, things are different. moving forward, etc. Obviously, it changes when she gets pregnant. Um, but for the most part, I look at a scenario like that and I ask myself, Uti, it's probably just the desperation of it. I don't want to let Umendo go, and the embarrassment and the shame that come from society because of that.
Yeah, abantu bazothini is very strong there.
Very
I think
much.
in that space. And also, I think it's the thing of Uti, you also want to believe the lies because you think, right? Because at the time when he does that, he comes back and then he's telling you, no, I'm back. Like this time, no, everything's all good or whatever. And you want to also believe, you want to be taken into, this whirlwind. And I think the only thing that really kind of shakes things up actually is the pregnancy, because in her mind, I think pregnancy equaled him stepping out. Because in a way, I think that's the thing. I think she thought that because of the baby, that's when he stepped out of Matipa, but actually probably that he did it much earlier.
Yep.
Right? It's just that Matipa is the one who had staying power.
Yeah.
And so the association with pregnancy then becomes this thing of like, oh, I don't want to get pregnant because then we're going to go through this again. Without realizing that actually, when you're not pregnant, but
yeah, but he's
look at the ranch, someone else is with two.
yeah. And I think it struck me. I was like, for a toddler mom, Joyce is quite like she's quite busy, and
Who's
because
looking after that kid?
I was like, who's looking after
So
those
guys,
wounds? I was like, for a toddler mom, she has way too much. But then I want to go back to the point that you made, Amanda. I even made a note because I put here Joyce, Matipa, Lindani. They are the same type of woman, younger. So that's actually quite striking because I was like, they're literally the same type of woman. Um, and then sorry, I don't know what the okay. Because of time, I just want to shift to Essie.
okay.
When I tell you Essie, so we kind of see Essie like, obsessed with Joyce and everything that's going on, obsessed with everything that's happening in that household. And and it's so funny, like even I could imagine like extended family where you just know an Essie and Magesh type of family who's like the brother-in-law is like Jonasi and Joyce, right? Like you kind of knew that dynamic and that woman who's kind of like, listen, I'm very practical about men. They just want peace. Remember, that's what Essie said to Joyce when Joyce came to be like, maybe you can tell me because I know Magesh been stepping out. And that's when the saxophones were starting to be like, and then fast forward, I think it's episode 9. I remember it's episode 9 at the end. So Jonasi comes to Essie, and we see at the end Jonasi and Essie. I shut my laptop down. I said, what? Because that's before like the reveal. I was like, what's going on? And I think to the point, Sena, where you're saying like, typically the whole thing of like you're a powerful man, you've got a powerful marriage, and then you have the side chick. That's like the cherry on the top, right? I think with a lot of people, and I saw like a lot of men, like I think the more after Matipa, it was now like, nah, dude, you're now doing too much. Like it's like you're now doing too much, right? And then we see
Yeah.
Essie, and I'm like, okay. And then obviously episode 10, we kind of get the backstory. It's like, what? So you've been quiet for almost 20 years. But what I wanted to say was I think Essie is the woman who loved him the most, right? To her detriment. And I think there
Yeah.
were a lot of things at play. One, although I kind of struggle with this one, I think there's a bit about self-esteem, right? Although like Joyce kind of gets the guys, right? She's never without a Ben 10. Like she's never with, but I think there's something about that. And because of the nature of their relationship, I think S is older than
Mm.
Jonas.
Jonasi, right? And we see like even at the beginning where they're friends, whatever. And then there's a scene where he's being beaten up at home, remember? And then like Essie comes and sort of like, saves him. And then there's a scene where he brings a girl and he hides with the girl, and then another girl comes, right? Another school girl's like, "Where's Jonasi?" And and then she lies for him. So it started the nature of their relationship. But then I was thinking that, so I think she knew his type, if that makes sense. And he was a good-looking young man at that point. And then I think there's something that scene. I don't know whether that was Freedom's father, whoever the guy who was like threatening her, and then Jonasi comes, and then the guy puts a gun on his head. I kind of feel like that made her feel indebted to Jonas. Oh, this guy would die for me. He would take a bullet for me, and she remembered that. Um, and then I think I was a bit. So then Jonasi goes. She gives him the money for university. First of all, do not give it like that. If there was a sign never to help a man, this was that. She gives him the money. He goes to university. We see him calling her, and then obviously they drift apart. Then he gets married. She sees on the newspaper, but she's also moved on. She's got her child. He comes back, but he comes back and he does kind of fulfill his promise. He gets her the car, gets a house. And what I was shocked about, he honors her family. They have a proper lobola ceremony. So for me, I was like, so why did we do this for 20 years when you went and, like there was a proper mcimbi, there was a proper thing? Because I was like, are then like there's no drunk uncle or whatever who at some point will blurt out and be like, Gary, why is what's happening? But I think for me, when I was thinking about it, I was like I said, I think she really loves him, right? She knows that she knew who he was. But that's the thing, men will go for, because Essie would have allowed him to do whatever, right? And still be the the wife. But he still wanted like the Joyce type
Yeah.
thing.
He wanted the trophy. That's the
Ex-
thing. It's like he needed what
yeah,
other people would
men.
consider a
Yeah,
trophy.
yeah, yeah. And I think there's something about maybe also, I don't know the backstory with Freedom, right? We don't really sort of hear what happened with the father, but she seems like she's on her own, right? There's no Freedom's father around. So maybe there's also something about when you've quote unquote, for lack of a better word, failed, right? Maybe in the eyes of your family, whatever, right? Now there's a second situation that happens, but this man comes, lobolas you. So maybe there's something in your mind that's like, I am not, this is not going to fail. I just can't do this again. So I think maybe there's something there that if maybe she didn't have Freedom and didn't have that experience, this wouldn't have gone on as long as it did. But yeah,
I mean,
Essie.
you think about it, like, right, Freedom's dad was the guy that she had before Jonas, right? So initially they were together, and then that whole thing with the gun happened, and then they weren't, and then she was now with Jonas, and then Jonas went and then disappeared, and then the other guy came back, and then there was Freedom. And I think part of that was her going, okay, so I tried it with Freedom's dad, things didn't work out, and then Jonas comes back, and then now here we are. We have a baby, but at least he's bought me a house, he's bought me a car, and at least, he's honored me with my family and stuff. And so I will just bear with it. And so I think that's why even the whole thing when they first encountered Joyce and he lied, in her mind, she was still holding on to the fact that, oh, at some point he will make things right. At some point he will do, you know what I mean? He will do what needs to be done. And then he just never did. And I think the unfortunate thing is, I think the self-esteem thing comes in. Because I think in her mind, I don't know if she thought that she deserved better. I think she thought that Jonas, as someone who's gotten her car, gotten her house, what more can she ask for? And he's maintaining her, right? It's like, what else can I want? But actually, the more that she saw Joyce's life, I think the more that her self-esteem took a knock, because she was a woman who really could have had a really fantastic life. And to me, part of what's sad about Essie is that her and Magesh, this whole charade that they were doing, they could have easily divorced. and live their separate lives. You know what I mean? Like at the
Yeah.
time when Sarah's now 3 or 4, they could have just been like, you know what, dude, it's been great.
Yeah.
It's been fine. And also, too, you're still an in-law, so you can still be around in some capacity, but at the very least, it allows you to have your own life, but also allows Magesh to have his own life.
Yeah.
Because now he's seen as a philanderer when actually he's a man who's probably just dating. You know what I mean?
That
He's just
first scene actually,
huh?
because I thought he was cheating on his wife with Matipa
Yeah,
when the series
exactly.
starts, right?
When actually it's
But
just two
yeah.
single people
Mm.
who are, having a good time. And so it creates this seediness that was unnecessary, I think, for both their lives, but also how Jonas shackles everyone, especially with money. And I think it's also a good conversation around like, don't like or love money that much. Because in a way, it seems like it's a thing that's freeing you, but actually it's not. If
Yeah.
anything, it's shackling both of you because now Lawe as Magesh, you're now tied to your brother, and now you're also sweeping, nonsense for him. When actually you could just genuinely have a good life, have your own family. And I mean, how many 20 years of like pretending you're someone's
Yeah.
husband, guys?
Yeah. And ultimately, I think he used the grand gestures very, very well. Like he used grand gestures to make people do what they needed to do. So whether it's getting Essie the house or the car or Matipa the house, um, and all of that, and Joyce, the beautiful house that they built together with the kids who are, I guess, spoiled and all of those things. I do think it's interesting how people interpret grand gestures or how we interpret grand gestures. And I don't know, I could do something for you, and for me, it's another, what, 10% of my salary. I am just happy I'm solving a problem, right? But
Mm.
for someone receiving that love, and you see that dynamic in a lot of men and women. Oh, Chomi, he did this for me. What does it mean? I always say this to friends of mine. Like, oh, what does it mean? It might not mean anything, really. He's just he Jonasi luputas. He's just having a good time. Do you know what I mean? But I think the way
A
we
grand?
interpret
Oh,
grand
sorry.
gestures sometimes it can feel like, oh, it's an act of love, when in fact it's an act of control. So you look at the house, right?
Mm.
He's bought you a house and a car, things that you've always dreamed of or dreamed about, but at the same time you're not scaling up with him to the next stage of his life, right? And it brings the other question, right? Could Essie have scaled up as his partner that he needed to be after university? And I mean, we see these stories all the time. With the people date, and then man goes away, and then they meet new people, and then all of a sudden, Usli is now into, guys with a degree. When your 3 to 3 doesn't do it anymore. Your Honda fits in blues is not going to work. Zihambile wabona bangcono wasehamba. And it's the same thing for guys as well. Sometimes that can happen. And then it brings the question of, and I know, Amanda, you said the women all look similar, like Matipa, Lindani, and Joyce.
Mm.
Could it be that for that specific space, for shallow reasons, he felt he needed a certain kind of woman in that
Yeah,
space,
I,
and
I
that
think so. I
for
think
the
he
20
needed that.
years, Essie just did not fit the brand?
Yeah, I think he did it. She didn't fit the brand, and I think he thought that he needed someone who looked a certain way to survive because there's all these corporate meetings, there's all this stuff, and he's not going to bring Muntu Ekasi. I think that's the thing that he always looked at Essie as Muntu Ekasi versus actually that Essie, even in Muntu Ekasi, you can, the same way that Muntu Ekasi, by the way,
Mhm.
you can come up together, you know.
But you
And
know how many of those stories exist? Like and that's why I say it was so relatable for a lot of people for different reasons. Because you might have a girl who's chilling there saying, mina ulokuze nini wahamba, and then wabuya with a new girlfriend, ngisalindile, ngisabambe ikhandlela, waiting for him to come back. And then he did come back, right? He came back after studying, after 10 years or whatever it is, and he's like, hey, honey, I'm home. But he has a whole other life, right? What are you going to
mm,
do? And for some people, it's, if he's bought me the things that I need, that's enough. Um, and the secret family side of it. I mean, I see, Nat, what you meant by, oh, you don't understand why didn't they just divorce and then come out into the open? It happens so many times as Uguti people have secret families till the funeral. Jonas is unfortunate, maybe in this regard. All the secrets came out before he died, before he kicked the
listen,
ball.
people will live in the same, like also it's the same town,
You
right?
go to the
Like,
same school with your sibling that you
listen,
don't know
my
about.
father, let me tell you, my father had another child 1 year younger than me who went to the same school, and I didn't know. True story.
Hectic.
So these are Jonas guys.
It's
Yep.
fair, man. I didn't know whether to laugh or be shocked or to say sorry.
It's the sort of thing where, like, as an adult, you're like, same school.
Listen, these stories are too real. I remember when I was at school, one of my friends, her father wasn't like really like active, but then when we were in Form 3, her sibling starts the same school in Form 1, right? Um, and then what happened is for visits, now her mom and her dad used to come together. So they would now liaise and they would come together to visit. Whereas he was never in, we had never seen him before, like from Form 1 to Form 3. And then it so happened that I feel like he didn't even know she was at that school, right? And then when, yeah, so now
Consultation day.
exactly, but now the parents who maybe aren't always, you don't ever see them together, now they're traveling together. So that was, yeah, because it was boarding school.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was kind of like, it's those dynamics where it's like, oh, so your parents, wait, are your parents together? No, this other one has his own mother, but this mom comes, I was just,
But also, a lot of it is the thing where like you can be in the same space but not know. So I didn't know
mm,
about her until we were like in our, I think I was 30 and she was 29, and that's after he had passed away. But he was such a deadbeat that that's the reason why we didn't know. Because if he had come to the school, I would have known that, oh, that's dad.
yeah,
And then she would have been like, oh, that's my dad. But because we didn't know, this one does generic
yes,
surname. So you're never
yeah,
going to think that that's your sibling.
mm,
And I was in boarding and she was a day scholar.
ah.
And
Oh.
so only now in our, like, when we now found out about each other, and it's like, oh, so where did you go to school? I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Come again?
Oh my God. But so I think this is the right time to talk about the children, right? So I want to start with
Oh, wait,
Dusara.
sorry, can I just say one more thing about
Yeah.
Essie?
Yes.
Which is that I think for me, the conversation around like what Sena was talking about, that does someone ever come back and take you when you're now in this like I suppose bigger, better position? And I think the thing is that 9 times out of 10 they don't. And I think these are the conversations that are necessary to let people know. That's why it's like, don't build a bear, don't put that money in, because as much as people like, there's a whole conversation on, hey, women don't want broke men, hey, women don't want blah blah blah. But actually, one of the big things is that men themselves talk about the fact that once I'm now in a better space, I don't look at you the same, because I'm like,
Yeah.
what kind of woman were you to be with a broke man? Men will say that to you, hey, to say, Vele, what
Can
kind
I
of self-esteem did you have to
can
be
I
with
chime
me
in
when I was
here?
broke? Huh? Me, I
Yes,
didn't have money. What were you doing? What kind of woman
but
is that?
it's trauma perpetuated though. Because I remember when I was in university, and this is not a personal story, but you pay attention to the things that happen around you.
Mm,
I was fortunate to live in Braamfontein during varsity, so I saw a lot of things, right? Bram being the center of Johannesburg, so Sandton is not far, Rosebank is not far. So people with genuine money are within a 10-minute drive from the varsity campus to pick up girls, right?
mm,
And I think when you're a younger man, 19, 20, whatever, you kind of accept very early on that, okay, khona lapha engingadlaleli khona mina because my pockets aren't enough. And I think what you create is a cycle where a lot of young men grow up saying, one day ngizafika lapha, one day
mm-hmm,
I'll get there. And a lot of guys learn from observation. So it's like, okay, I want to be the Grootman who drives up to campus in a BMW to pick up the prettiest first year. Like it becomes a cycle that perpetuates to a point where it's like, okay, the belief around a lot of young men is I need money to get women. I need money to get the prettiest girl. I need money to get the smartest girl, the one who will help me grow and develop and all of those things. And when I was stuck in a situation where that's just the currency that we have in society, that's just how it is. And and a lot of men will actually then say, okay, seeing as saying le mali khathesi, let me go back to the ones who rejected me before. And for the ones who rejected me, not the ones who rejected them before, but the younger version of the ones who rejected them before. And and it becomes difficult, I think, to not view money as an instrument to get those girls that rejected you. And are you now going to go back to, maybe even if you're a girl, are you not going to go back to Sena who left you or who you left back? And then you've had all these experiences and all this trauma where you've seen people with money get sort of the head start in life, get the head start in getting the people. I think at some point you will also just be like, I deserve. Not to which I feel this way, but I deserve because I went through the stress, I went through the cycle. Now it's my turn to eat, which is a very, like, not something I condone, but I think that's just how the mentality kind of is. And then it just shifts to, okay, whoever I left behind, Ekasi or Ekaya or wherever, and food. And then you then have a situation where umuntu lo mfazi ekhaya, ulo mfazi town, ulo mfazi elokishini. Three different wives for three different spaces that he occupies.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing for me is like when you are in that situation as Essie, I hope a lot of people can then see that actually, you know what, live your life because this person is just they're gone, they never gonna come back. But also they only come back when they need something. So it's the same way that you know in Jankulu, like amadoda want to go fair
Yes.
because they know that they'll be taken care of. And so I just think to
Yes.
myself, like, is that something that you actually want for yourself? Because I think there's such a level of martyrdom that women have had to be in Bogoto, to be all these things. And it's like, but in your own spirit, that means that you shrink and you don't actually then live your life
Yes.
the way that you want to live your life. And
And
so
and you
as
know,
people like having up Ben 10 and whatever, it's like you're even in that, you're not really getting a like genuine experiences. You could actually have Umuntu that you could have built with and had a better life and had a better someone for like abantwana bakho. But then you're now really just getting the crumbs from the person. And what I
yes.
wanted to say as well is that I'm quite shocked by actually I'm not shocked, let me not lie. I am saddened maybe by the number of people that have had difficulty in seeing Essie, especially in terms of like the sex scenes. Where, like, I mean, because I didn't even realize. So I got a spoiler, I suppose, on Twitter where it's like, can't believe they showed us, you know, Essie bent over, Johnny. Hey, and so when I saw the scene, I was like, she's
It
even
was
fully
like,
clothed. Like, I thought
yeah,
she would be bare, like, and I'm like, but that in itself makes you uncomfortable. That and it's again, it's the thing where people think only a woman
yes.
who looks a certain way deserves to not only be have her back broken down, but also to like be in a sex scene in a film. Like I just think just as society wise, what we are expecting to see when it comes to sex is very like there's a certain type even within that and how
Yes.
uncomfortable it make people feel. But also I'm like, part of it is that people are uncomfortable with even knowing that their own mothers have sex. Right. And so Essie is kind of almost a representation of that. And so there is that kind of element of like a kind of cyclical nature of I don't see someone who looks like my mom as someone who has sex, and therefore I don't want to end up with someone who even resembles,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like someone who looks like my mom, you know. And I
Yeah.
think it's that cyclical nature
And
of like,
and the way you've actually brought it all together, there's a scene where she actually says where she snaps, which is also, I think, like Matipa, I will say it's too late when she eventually snaps, where she says ngikhathele ngokuba yitoilet yakho, which to me was like, because that's exactly what he was like. He would just show up, he would do his thing, and he would leave, and then he only spends time with them on his birthday when Joyce is like, no, not this year. After he's already blown off Matipa because Joyce was meant to be doing something. And that kind of sends him into like a spiral where even in whatever desirability, she ranks last on the list of what he wants on his best day.
mm,
Um, so when he shows up there, she already has someone else. They have to throw like a birthday party quick in a hurry. and and you almost wonder, Woody, okay, why didn't you start here? You started here because you're ashamed of this person to an extent. This is not where you is not where you want to be for your feel good, but because the better ones have rejected you, you're now here. Okay, so now we'll throw you a pity party, is what I called it. And when she says ngikhathele ngoba toilet yakho, that to me was in a sense where you don't see me as anything other than just where you come and you trauma dump, not just sexually, but in every way.
But also Intole
And
ID
that's
Papa was one of my
yes.
I was like, so what do you think is kudliwa lapha ekhaya? Like, you know what I mean? Intole ID Papa, like, sir.
I would even say, and the reason why a lot of people were so shook, I mean, I'll blame this on you guys' industry as filmmakers. It's because I don't think we're exposed to a lot of black women or black women who are a certain type physically in sex scenes in mainstream TV. And because also Celeste is very familiar to a lot of us as a comedian, she also acted on Isibaya as a mother, which was very interesting because her and Stumo acted on Isibaya. I think he would have been her son-in-law on Isibaya. So there's a certain thing that the audience just can't bring together. One, because we don't see typically, black women who are of a bigger frame having sex on TV. It's just not something we see. In the politics of Netflix with all the sex scenes that we're currently getting, and sometimes I think there are too many, there's a certain archetype that is always presented, right? And it's presented a certain way. So the Matipa, Joyce, whatever sex scenes, like, oh, okay, the Lindani ones, oh, okay, the moment it's Celeste, it's high. Nobe ngaboyenza Celeste kanjalo. And and I think it will come with time and it will come with us normalizing these things. So the next one, when we're casting, right? When we're casting for whatever leading lady who's going to do a sex scene, perhaps it shouldn't just be abo, the Joyce and the Matipas. It should be the Celeste and whoever else, so that kuba ngcono for us.
I see you, Nat, and I'll remember. This is on record. Just
It's a recorded episode.
yes, for future reference. You do that. Yeah, I didn't say. I'm like V11 nuns.
But anyway, we'll
So
come
talk to the kids. I think you wanted to go to the kids.
Yes.
What I was gonna say is, Uti, what the birthday thing that you talk about Sena in terms of like them throwing him that quick birthday party thing. What I think was played really well is the Ufreedom. Because I think Ufreedom as a character was not someone that I think that doesn't really get shown a lot. Because a lot of the time, right, Ufreedom gets taken care of by Ugogo. Freedom would have gone to Gogo immediately as soon as Ulokuzeni Jonas Lobola. Freedom would just go to Gogo and be raised there. And so for them to kind of give us a glimpse of what it's like to be Freedom who has been there, and then you now see Umtwana, like that, I suppose your sibling, who's got the father who is much richer, all the things, and is hailed as this really great person, great man, but also who doesn't even really as the family, right? And so what it's like to be that person when this person comes to a birthday party that you guys have had to throw really quickly. And that whole thing with the cake, that was so well done and so symbolic, because I think how many people have wanted to do that? To be like...
But it's even worse for him because she had never bought him a cake as a mother. She hadn't bought him a cake.
And so can you imagine as well, for me, it's the fact that, with him not having a cake, but also how much the mother is willing to say to Sarah every time something happened, let's go to the mall and look nice. So there's money for Impasha for Sarah to look nice on a day that she's feeling down, but there isn't any money to celebrate me on my birthday. And how much would that have taken off you to do that? And so we're here just hailing this person who just comes here as always, whatever he wants, whenever he wants. But Mina, as your child who's been there, who's also been, because in a way you kind of see Freedom, there's a deputy parent vibe to him, right? And so it's like there is this element in which I just have to be there in the shadows, and I have to be there when I'm called upon. And when I'm not needed, I need to just shut up and just
Yeah.
deal with it. And also
Yeah.
seeing that, I think, firsthand, because a lot of time there's these conversations around abantwana ukuthi, let's say you have a child and your child goes to private school, and then you get with someone else who has a child who goes to like state school. Do both children go to state school, or do they all go to private school? If you
It's
can't
the
afford
age
to do
old,
private school for both,
but it's
what
the age old
happens?
debate. It's the age old
Yes.
debate about Uguti in a home where the children have different fathers, for example. And me as a father, I can send my child to the best school. Does this mean that all the other children in the household, what happens there, right? And that's one of those dynamics that are always so fascinating because I think he can see it with freedom and I forget the
So
girl's name, and Sarah.
Usara.
You say it with freedom and Sarah in the sense that she is his child, and I think he maintains and he sends money and he contributes and all of these things and he buys the fancy gifts and I'm sure he maintains. In a scenario like that, does whose obligation is the mother to make sure with okay, the money that comes in, I split it equally amongst Freedom and Sarah, or if not, what do I do? Do I take from my own pocket to make sure I make sure things are equal? Do I okay, at least you can buy a cake. I think the cake is not the issue. But I mean the bigger things. How do people genuinely handle that? And I think it would be awkward for Ceci as for the mother to be like, hey, or Essie as a mother to be like, okay, Sarah, Mina, this is your life. This is how I'm funding it. This is what I'm getting you, and not do the same for the other child, which is something that is a decision she made. But a
Yeah.
lot of people go through similar. I got there to buy my child KFC. Does it mean I buy KFC for all her other children? Because men are petty like that sometimes, or people
Yeah.
rather.
Just
and also that thing is like, is it fair? There's also conversation about, is it fair that if Jonas is sending money to Essie, that she divides it into half when actually the money is,
Meant for Sarah.
yeah.
no. Like, sorry, you are making me keep this secret. You're gonna take care of my whole household, right? And
Okay.
remember, like the dynamic was, oh, Magesh would give Essie money in an envelope. I don't think it was a case of this is for
That's it. Yeah.
it didn't sound like it
Mm.
was like it was just like you get
Yeah.
this money because remember even the episode where Magesh comes and he sees that Jonas is at home and then Sarah comes and then he's like since Baba Kokona he gives her the envelope says give your mom and just a question on the birthday scene, right? Was Freedom drunk or not? There's a point
I
I
think
want to
freedom
make.
is kind of perpetually. It's almost like him and Essie. They have the same dynamic of Utwala is the thing that kind of
Yeah,
numbs it. You never know whether they've had too much or too little, but it
yeah,
feels like there's always a
On
bottle
a
and
spectrum
yeah.
of some sort.
yeah.
Because the role that alcohol plays in S's whole family for numbing, right? Because remember, even when we're introduced to Freedom, he's drunk, he's come back drunk. At the vow renewal, S is drunk, and even Jonasi says to Magesh, "Hi, tattoo S," because she's numbing her pain. When Sarah is unhappy at some point, she says to Freedom, "Give her a glass of wine." And even Freedom now has to say, no, I'm not going to give her wine. So there's a role that alcohol has just played
Too
all.
many you wine to calm the nerves.
Yes, she says that, or she said, "Oh, let me." I think she first says, "Let's get close." She says, "Oh no, nigga wine." It's just like literally, the role that alcohol has played in S's family to just kind of calm them down. But I wanted to go back. So, Freedom. I like what you said, Amanda, and also Sarah. Oh my God, I think for like the first I was like, what's wrong with this kid? Right? I was like, why is she always just had this attitude, and I think it just shows that yes, Essie can keep this secret or whatever, right? But people don't realize that these children that they don't see Usara no freedom, right? Remember, like freedom when we're first well, when Jonasi comes back, they take the ride around the car, sorry, in the car. But Jonasi really has no. He's just like, oh, who's that? And he's like, oh, is that mine? Like he has no real interest. But people don't realize that children will grow up to be adults. So and I thought it was so perfect that Usara was the one who like told Joyce, right? Ukuthi, this is what's happening. Because it's kind of like, yes, it was very unfair for Umtwana to hold on to that secret for so long, right? So I just thought that was I think people sometimes can be very short-sighted. I like the way they kind of told the story that like with men that they think they're playing these women, but your kids are going to like make sure you don't have any peace.
But also because
I,
I think it will always come out anyway. Like I think with kids, like kids are they're sponges in that they take on a lot of what happens. But then at the same time, it's like all you need to do is just do that. And it all just comes out. And I think that's why even like Usera's relationship with Lompume is like, it's that competitiveness because whatever you have, I can also have. Right. And therefore that also even the way that it then puts kids as competitors versus siblings.
Yeah, that always comes through because when you look at even what she did with the boyfriend, that little stunt, I think it speaks to what you're actually saying, Wuti, I want the things that you have, or I am entitled to the things that you have as your sister. Like if our father passes away and we're meant to inherit, we should inherit the same things and we should live the same. And then I think it was more like, okay, even your boyfriend to hurt you, I will show you that, I can also have him. It's a very weird thing. Would it have been better if she was in the dark about who her real father was?
I think so. I mean, it's a bad situation, but I I mean, I think
I
yeah,
think the way they handled it just for me just it made sense. I'm like, actually, it would have been better if it was just a secret.
It would have been if she thought that her father was Makesh and
yeah.
then found out later that actually it's not. It's a Kulile. I think that represents maybe different problems, different dynamics. But I think for her to grow up for 2 decades knowing that that's your dad and seeing him with the other family,
I think that
and
really messes you up.
yeah. But I mean, I know people who
To that extent, no.
when they are the family that other people don't know that actually they're siblings.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
mean,
but that happens.
yeah.
Over
Well,
Buhlale town.
but it happens, but normally the families are kept separate, right? Not that you are playing with your cousins who are actually your siblings and you have to keep the secret. Like,
No, but I think that there's weddings, there's funerals,
oh,
there's
okay.
all sorts of things like where at some point you might end up being in the same space.
Yeah.
And unless you are like saying, so Natasha Villa, who's your dad?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of time, kids don't do that, right?
Yeah.
You just play, you just know, oh, that's person, that's this person, that's Amanda, that's Natasha. But until we are like, I'm literally like, okay, so Nat, ubaba company la.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
you know. But otherwise, like a lot of these dynamics play out a lot.
And then talking about Tukutubaba Komban, Jonasi loved telling Bube and Menzi that I'm your father. I'm your father. I'm your father. So what about that dynamic? Because I think we see that Mpume was the one who like really felt all the feelings that everyone was like, first of all, like, why are you back? And she's the one who goes to her mom and just says, Mama, like what's going on?
Yeah.
Um and yeah.
Her reading that note to Jonas. Sorry.
Oh my
Do you
God.
know how
Yeah,
many people on the internet said, how many people on the internet said, I once read a letter. I once wrote a letter to my dad. I once wrote a letter to my mom. I once read out a letter to whoever. Hey. And
Guys,
the horror stories that came out of that, where you're writing a letter and then someone is just ignoring you. Like
the
they're not
day
even
after the body
acknowledging
was
your
just like, yeah,
existence.
ne. You're just wasting your.
And then she kept going. Like, why not stop?
Because you're a kid, just like I want to be heard. Like, Dad, listen to me. I think because I think as a child, right? You're told that you're important to your parent, and so
No,
in that moment you're thinking, well, if I'm important to you, surely you're listening to what I have to say. But
I
in that moment,
see.
I think for Jonas, it's not. You're a prop.
You're
There are a
making
lot of
noise.
people
We
who
stay
consider their
fair.
kids props. Yeah, it's just like, oh, you're just like a thing. So you just
But it's
send them
also
to
just a relationship that maybe African fathers sometimes have with their children, where it's hierarchical, right?
mm,
I instruct, you do. I provide, you comply. And that's kind of how sort of African parenting is seen in many different ways. Respect me, don't question me, don't talk back, don't say anything my way or the highway, right? And that's it kind of manifests in the sense of I can do whatever I want. You're a child, you can't tell me nothing, right? And on top of that, it's even worse when he looks at it and he doesn't see anything wrong. Whether
mm,
or not he sees something wrong and he's just using the isithembu isikolakiti as an excuse, which you could argue it was, or it's him saying, no, yeah, well, actually, I don't give a fuck about what you think. You're a child. It's none of your business. Stay out of adults' business. Stay out of grown people's business,
Yeah.
which I think is probably where he's coming from with, yo, this child is talking at me, giving me instructions, telling me how they feel. I don't want to hear it. It's disrespectful. Um, but yeah, that was sad. And the stories that I read on the internet afterwards were even worse.
Yeah, and people say Umpume was wearing blue to represent being blue ticked. As I said. And 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 and, and you know, like the point about I think Jonas just saw the children through their mothers, right? Not like as
mm,
just their own identity. And then later on, obviously, when men's are growing up, he's sort of like saying, "Oh, men's, you need to take over, right? You need to
mm.
take over." But that thing of not really investing, and we also see it with we didn't even talk about how the twins and how that whole scene of Joyce finding out. Oh my God! Even with the twins, he's running away every time they're crying. Right? Every time they're crying and Matipa needs help, he's like,
He's not bothered. That's not his life. That's the thing. I feel like
yeah.
that's with Jonas, that's not his life. And I think people keep wanting to give him a bit more of like I think humanity, but actually there are a lot of men who
Mm,
genuinely don't have that or don't even want to even access that. So even like for me, one of the things that was so hard to watch, but which I think was a good thing to include was when he went to see Matipa after the twins, and basically he said Umlomo can do the things, right? So if you're not willing
yeah.
to go there, Umlomo do, and how much that in itself was coercion in a way that's so uncomfortable, but also that a lot of men do, right? In that even the thing of like having to say, oh, 6 weeks, like doctors have to say and prescribe 6 weeks of none of that, because a lot of time men are like, no, vele from auntie, you've done the thing and now it's time. And that lack of empathy, but also that lack of seeing you in your space as a mom, overwhelmed. You've got 2 kids, and you are hoping. And I think that's in Umatipa, the fantasy that she had of what would happen when she's got now Jonas's kids. Because I think part of the reason why she even had the twins was the fact that she was living in this fantasy world of what he will be like when she now has children. So now she's now at equal footing with Joyce, because Joyce has got 2 kids. Me, Lami, now I've got two.
No,
Yep.
but that's,
What
sorry,
are we
can I
gonna do?
say, isn't that a bit delusional?
Very
It's
incredibly
incredibly,
delusional.
it's incredibly, I don't
That's why, like,
understand.
even when he was saying and like, you could tell there's the whole thing of, oh wow, so you're not even really aumboni.
No,
And
but he
also,
hasn't
I
seen you
have
from the
to
beginning.
do. Pardon?
From the beginning, Bevelenje, like
Yeah,
he came to you when his wife had just given birth. Like it's not a agakali, right?
Yeah.
It's that thing that you're saying, Amanda. You think you're bigger than the program? Well, this is what happens with this man after you have a child. It's what happened to his previous wife. It's happening now. So then at some point, I start to go, surely there has to be some sort of accountability and click that switches in these moments. There to be like, why did I even make these decisions? because it's a combination of bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. And then when the penny drops, all of us are like, ha. And I think a lot of guys would just be like, no, but Jonas, the way he's moving, it's not a surprise.
Yeah, because he has been showing you who he's been from the get-go. But I think a lot of it is, again, sunken cost fallacy. For a lot of people, it's like, I've put in so much already. Like, am I just going to leave? Am I just going to live this comfortable life? But also, I think it's the access that Jonas probably gave them. You know what I mean? So it's like, at this point, do I just undo that and start again? Which, I mean, I guess Matipa, she ended up doing. But for a lot of women, it's hard to get to that space where they're like, actually, you know what? Let me just undo this, this man. And also, I wanted to talk about Umenzi. Umenzi, it's quite sad, like how he was also the child who I think absorbed a lot, but then he took it out, I think, in different spaces. Like even the whole thing of like him almost having like a heart attack when he saw his dad with Lindani, and looking at how Jonas will be Jonas, like there's some people that were talking about on Twitter when Sarah tried to kiss Umagesh, right? That actually if it was Jonas probably would have gone with it. Like this is how much nasty ass man with Jonas is, that you know this person, like this is a kid who your own child wants to be with, but when this is now someone that you're going after. And I think part of the reason why even Jonas went after Lindani was because of Umenzi. I kind of think that there was something there with Jonas about in both scenarios, like to Lindani and to Menzi.
And the Lindani thing, I think we got a flashback where he first saw her in that way was when Joyce and Jonasi went away, right? And then they came back and they done the party and Lindani was, and it's so funny because the first scene we kind of see them like they come and they're like, Pumani, like get out of my house, like very angry father, you know, parent, whatever. But it's kind of like then you kind of get that view where we're like, oh, that's where Lindani caught his eye, right? And it's kind of like, you know, him and Joyce are probably like on one page, but yeah, like, his eye is everywhere. It was just like, what the heck? And I just wanted to go back to your point about like the taking accountability, like for the women. I mean, absolutely. And I think there is something about the whole theme about not being bigger than the program. I do think that there is something about, there's a sort of maybe naivety, or maybe you're thinking like, my situation is different that, you know, some women sort of experience. And to be honest with you, sometimes someone can tell you, but until you've experienced it, like it just wouldn't compute. It just doesn't compute. And that's why they say in because you really do think like, oh, my situation, oh, whatever, like my sister, oh, if I have kids. And then it's only when real life happens to you, that's when you realize, oh. And then that's when you realize that person is not even the prize. You're like, whoa.
That's why they say, try, if you don't hear, you will feel.
Exactly. And then, okay, can we talk about, Matipa, guys, okay, that woman had some nerve. Some nerve. Okay, I understand choosing yourself.
But leave your children?
To leave your children and then come back with another fine man. Matipa, nah, I'm so sorry.
But it's saying that life is for the living, guys.
But it really showed that for her, obviously, the children were never the thing. It was just about being with Jonas. That's why she was able to just leave them like that.
That for me, like the babies literally were about putting herself at equal footing with Joyce. To say, okay, lamsen labantu analai.
Yep. Yeah.
So if you're the mother of his children, that argument, I'm the mother of his children, falls away. You can't just tell me, yes, blah, blah, blah. Me too, zake.
Oh my.
And also I was going to say, like, I want to touch on the thing of gifting. That's in a way you talk about that, with gifts. I think that sometimes men cheapen, right, a gift that was maybe meant to be that would have been a nice gift, but they cheapen it depending on how they give it to you. So if you look at even like Matipa and the house that she got, right? It was the old house that they used to live in. For Matipa, it's she's got this big house, but actually it was Joyce's old house. That's like that was Joyce's downgrade, right?
Yeah.
In that way. But also looking at how gifting is used with Lindani, in that the things that Lindani is impressed by, a holiday home, is something that Joyce just she could never be impressed by that. Like that's just one of the things that she has. But Ulindani is like, and even the thing of a frog raw and like how Jonas understands the things when for you it's a big thing, but I'm doing this, like what you're saying in terms of like control, but also manipulation. But also I understand where you are within the program for me. And
but he
so,
does ask the question, we are fine dining, which is specifically to, okay, so how much do I need
yes.
to throw to bait you?
Hey. Also, have you dated an older man? It's also giving that thing like, oh, I want to see where you are within that, so I know what it is that's going to impress you. But also, the closing down of a restaurant is like for Lindani. I mean, at that age, come on, a man is closing down a restaurant for you. So that you can be there, and it's just the two of you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so it's that level of.
And what's Menzi and his allowance going to do?
Mm-hmm. And he does this grooming thing very well, right? In a way where he's making Lindani feel she's making the choices. Because I think there's a scene, even like I think this is like maybe when they're being intimate, where he's like, "Tell me to stop." I think I hope I'm remembering right, but he does that like, "Are you okay? Tell me to stop," like whatever. And it's just like you think of that, and you think of if when you're 19 or whatever, you think you know it all. You think.
What I was going to say is that one of the choices that I think, I don't know whether it's Dumo was doing it, I suppose maybe as an actor, I think it's potentially an actor acting choice that he did when he came to Lindani, is that he did this thing where he'd go, like it's almost like he's observing, but like almost preying on her, like an animal that's got like that. So like she would do something, or like he would try and kiss her, and then she kind of was a bit like, okay, we're coming back to that. And so there was an element of those sounds. I don't know if it did an older person, an older man, but that was triggering for me. I was like, hey,
do the most basic,
because that type of from an that is there,
or the whole kind of like tell me more, tell me more, and you feel like like I'm but that's what I'm saying, like when you're like 19 and you think you know it all, and then it's only when you get older you're like
nonsense.
But that's the game. That is the game right now. And a lot of and we need to fast, like she didn't want to wait to be Joyce's age to experience the things that ultimately Joyce wanted. I almost feel like all these women were in some sort of competition with Joyce amongst each other.
Always. That's the thing. I feel like Joyce was the standard, but also it's a thing of like, we need to humble with Joyce to make her realize that she wasn't good enough for him. Because I think that's always like the thing, when someone comes into that situation, they want to say, I'm the one who is good enough for him. When you're not satisfying him, that's why he's even looking and considering me. So, Mina, I'm going to do the things and I'm going to do the most with him. The things
Delusional.
that Mina, and be like, oh, okay, so he actually does that for you, without realizing actually the OG and the person who even built this thing is Joyce. And even like I liked one of my things that I loved about Ulindani as well was the fact that Jonas is a cooler. How she was just like, me, I'm living my life. Chief, sharp, you're right. In the next room, Minangapa, I am getting my back blown out. And like, also too, I love that they showed Jonas as someone who actually genuinely doesn't love himself. Because I think that's the thing that a lot of people like keep thinking like, oh, Jonas does stand, because now stand, guys, you take ARVs. I'm sorry. Ngawusithanda ngathola gonorrhea uyanatha amapilisi.
Yeah.
You keep to the schedule to even have an alarm on your phone if you have to. That's the person post tanda. So if you're being told that you've got gonorrhea and not even doing anything, now HIV, you turn and that what was the thing that you said anyway?
Whatever, I don't know what.
Yes, but it's like you know that with Jonas, you don't love yourself enough. Even
Is it not?
Umntwana is taking care of herself. Lindani is saying, I am going to live.
Yeah. I think that story, I'm not sure if you guys have ever watched Yesterday, the movie with Leleti Kumalo,
Yes.
where she has a husband in the mines who he gets HIV, but he doesn't know it until she goes to get tested at the clinic. And then she visits him in the city to be like, hey, look, I've got this thing. And then I think he beats her up, doesn't buy into it. He's like, no, nonsense. Whatever. She goes back home. She starts treatment. She recovers. He comes back home into epheleleyo, like he's now finished. And then she must look after him and build a shack for them to live because the community also doesn't want them. That story apparently, not to say what he doesn't love himself, but I'm just saying that story manifests itself in so many men in the modern day when it comes to HIV treatment. I don't know why. Maybe it is self-hatred, you say, Amanda. There's a part of it that is just ignorance as well. Because Yena, he believes what he was taking was umuti or whatever it is, amakamba, whatever it is that he was taking, or whatever traditional herb he got from Inyanga or Sangoma. He may have thought I'm genuinely doing something, but I don't know what it is about Western medicine that would make him suspicious of it. Because that happens a lot.
For me, though, it's more like if you're taking that, but you're deteriorating, at some point, are you not saying, let me just try?
Anto lokhu zeni bakutshela ukuthi no uzaqala ugule kancane then it'll work. You know what I mean? Because there's these stories, like I said.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, sometimes it does.
Before you
Sometimes
heal,
like, no,
your
side effects,
your
body's fighting it, and then you'll be fine, right? And then you take this thing until you die. Sometimes it doesn't work. Your body's just deteriorating. Sometimes it kills you because you don't know what concoction is there. But I always wonder the traditional aspect of it. Because then the question becomes, was he really a polygamist? Is he really into tradition like that? And if you say, yes, he was a polygamist, yes, he's Sigolagubo, yes, he's a traditional Zulu man, then it kind of makes sense that he would shun Western medicine and go, actually, let me take traditional herbs and try to cure it that way. And there's a certain, I don't know what it is, maybe suspicion to Western medicine and Western doctors in some respects, or whatever it is. But, and let's say maybe he was just using the polygamous thing as just an act, just to get away with the cheating, to justify it. Then you start to think, when it doesn't make sense why you would not take medicine, why you would go the traditional route. Maybe it's being ashamed. I have no idea. But so many people.
Also, yeah, and there definitely was shame in that. I don't think he wanted to be someone who wants to be seen to be going to get a prescription or to natama pills, because I think the traditional stuff is like you could be having traditional medicine for anything. But like once you're having ARVs in the home and someone sees that or whatever, like I think for me, he's the kind of person who's also too proud.
There has to be a point. Like when Lindani goes, Jonas uskakele, there has to be a thing where it's like.
That's what I mean. So that at some point, are you not like, hey, let me just try whatever it is that, because Lindani was pilele, right? Exactly. To me, that's about to live with someone who is showing you signs of they're not deteriorating the way that you are, and they're doing something different, going to Pilates and and living her life. Surely, at some point, you are like, but also I don't know whether at that point as well, are ARVs too late? Was he in a space where it's too late or whatever? But I think it's
maybe
that part made me laugh. And you know that by a kid.
And yeah, it could have been. I think there's just something about him being sort of stubborn, or him sort of not wanting to accept. Because even when Essie comes and says, "Come with me, I'll look after you," and the truth is, Essie probably could have nursed him back to life.
Would have brought him back to life.
She would have crashed my ARV and put them in food. Like she she was going to, but then he is the one who said, I think he said, "Oh, fele lokshin." Like
Yeah, Kasi, he's not
he
doing
said,
that. He's not
and
doing
it's
that.
like, dude, like what
That's
are
what
you
I mean,
on
though. That
about?
do you love yourself enough that to feel Kasi, like that's where your mind is versus I want to live.
Yeah, like what does that have to do with? But okay, oh, okay, we've got 5-10 minutes, right?
Mm.
I wanted to talk about the mother-in-laws in Bijan, right? So Joyce's mom and
Mm,
Matipa's mom,
mm,
right? Because I think Joyce's mom, I think she did that thing where like moms whose children are married to rich men and they're kind of, I don't know, because at first she was very much the begezela. Because remember, there's a scene where she was saying to Joyce, "Oh, don't wear this tracksuit, like
mm.
change what you're wearing." And then later on, yes, she does say, "Danam, this is enough," right? But I was kind of like, because I've seen like some discourse online where people are like, "Oh, this is the perfect mother-in-law. She didn't really like interfere, whatever." And then on Matipa's side, like the mom was, you could tell, we didn't get a lot of backstory, but you could tell that Matipa's the type who, she probably also came from like very like humble, beginnings or whatever, right? And she's kind of made it to the city. Um, and it didn't seem like she had that close of a relationship with Umama, and it felt like Umama was like the last resort, right? Because when she was now like really desperate, and then Umama comes, and you can tell she just seems like a humble woman who Matipa's kind of doing that thing of like, she's the city girl who comes and she's niggas when poo poo. Like,
Yes,
and
also that she's done better. Look at me, mom. I've done so well for
yes,
myself. I've got
yes,
this
Mm.
man, and look, and talking about ulemali,
yep,
and now I've got these kids. So I'm not doing as bad as you think I am in
yeah,
the way that
Also,
you get it,
can't
right?
tell me
Like,
nothing.
yep,
yes, can't tell me nothing. I know what it is that I'm doing. I know him as well, right? It's this thing where
mm,
like, Mina, I know him, you don't know him. You're just judging him from, the get-go. And I think for me, Ulo Kuzen Mamaga Joyce, she turned, I think, because she realized that even what she was saying to Joyce is not the things that will make Ulokuzen, Jonas change. Because I think she was kind of reciting almost the things that people get told, right? With yeah, you changed, yeah, also gogi, sexy, yeah, also saying look, but actually realized low vele is trash. In Dotale, you always metro anyway. So
Yeah.
whether or not you are gonna be dressed sexy, head to toe, high heels or whatever, this man is always gonna have his eye elsewhere. And I think that's where the mom was like, okay, so because it's like there's nothing, all the things that I thought you had to change, it doesn't matter. This man is
mhm,
still gonna be on one. And so
yep,
you have to
Mm.
decide whether, body bag or
yep,
you're gonna just like what I mean, walk out with your head held high and let that be. But also, too, I think she also had an understanding as well of which I can't say too much. I think, unlike Matipa's mom, I think for her, she realized that, or maybe she already had it earlier on, like you just never know in the beginning of the relationship where she maybe have been like Matipa's mom, right? Within the beginning, maybe she also did feel like, hey, Jonas, Jani Jan. And then she was told,
Mhm.
yeah, I know him, he's my husband. Wena,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
maybe it's her now coming into it in a softer way because you'd rather be there than be cast out so that you can be there when things then fall apart. Because I think that's the thing as well.
yeah,
Like when it comes to being in I suppose like with family that where people are going through certain things or like their relationship is there's like ama abusive natures or whatever, you want to always be there where you're not too judgy but judgy, not judge, I suppose like you're say enough, you're honest enough,
yeah,
but you also want to make sure that there's space for you to still be there if ever they need you.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 Oh, it was a lot going on. It was a lot going on.
yeah.
It was a lot
And
going
then that
on.
scene when Matipa's getting married, whatever, and then the mom, everyone is like celebrating, and then the mom, I like the shot where Like the mom just kept sitting in the room because she just
She couldn't
knew.
hide her
She
Yeah.
disappointment
just
the
knew
whole
that
time.
this is not going to end well. She like
Yeah.
she just knew that this isn't going to end well. And I guess back to kind of the Arabic point, I think it's interesting because when we then find out that Joyce, engineered, she spoke to, is it Lungi, the girl who was in prison,
Oh,
who had said that she was positive, and basically she was like, Funa, that thing, the insatiability that he has. I want it to be the thing that, but so I think it's interesting that I think it means I think she knew. So, because did she want to kill him, or did she just want him to be positive? Because, or did she know that he would never get treatment? So
I
that's
I
the
think she
thing.
think
wanted
she
to kill
knew him
him.
well enough that actually, if that he is so horrible that he was going to sleep with someone that he thought was Matipa's friend, by the way, right? Because
Yeah,
that woman came in as Matipa's friend.
yeah,
She knew that man is such a,
yeah,
uwenja, to the point that and just let the food come in
yeah.
without any protection. She knew that as well about him, that he was not about that life, especially with gonorrhea and all that. And then three, I actually think that was the reason why she didn't let Essie come in when she was trying to visit him, is that she knew
Yes.
that Essie would try and revive him. And I think that the point was Umbula.
Yeah. Because I'll just add on to that, to remember the scene in the beginning where she has the gun, and
Mm.
then he walks in, and then he sees her carrying the gun, like, Joyce of Bulala. And like, oh, this guy could not fathom that
Talk
that
about
she
being
wanted to
so
kill him.
nuts that you don't think someone's gonna wants to kill you.
He couldn't believe it because in his mind, he hasn't done much wrong. Not enough to be killed.
No.
In his mind, she's acting crazy. And when you see her then intentionally do it, because I think there's two moments where she wants to kill him. Then I think after he beats her the last time, that's when she actually decides, actually, I've now got the strength and the cruelty to get this done. I think she wanted to kill him. I think she planned it from the moment she found out about Matipa, but probably the confusion, the feelings, and all of it. I I had an issue with that though, because it's not lost on me that he tried to leave her. And to fast forward a couple of maybe 10, 15 episodes later to her now deciding to kill him instead of maybe you could have just let him leave. Like that's why I probably led with that. There's an eye when I watch this from my perspective that is sometimes very, very critical of a lot of what Joyce herself, Matipa, Lindani, all the women, where I'm like, yes, he was rich and powerful, I see. He's not the best person. Febes and Dotes, Nganezoma would say. But they all had opportunities where they could step away from his his ecosystem of power. When he wanted a divorce, Joyce could have divorced. When he came back, I think Essie could have been like, Jonas, I've moved on with my life. You went on, you married someone else. It's okay. Or when she found out Tuguti, he lied about, Joyce knowing. Like, there's so many moments where I'm like, yes, he's ridiculous, but surely, homegirl, here, you've put yourself in this position. Yes, I'm not justifying any of his actions,
But I mean, it's right
but
that he
there's
was
a
saying so
huge,
Vaslatan. I feel like that's so Vaslatan. And when it turned, it
true,
turned.
100%. But in my mind, there are so many moments where if someone is cheating on you and they say, I want someone else, angsakufuni, nansi divorce, I think you should take it, especially if there's another woman in the picture. Yes, I get it. And she ultimately kills him and the marriage falls apart. All of the things she was trying to prevent inevitably happen. The story comes out. Everyone now knows how he moves, who he is. The babies are now out in the open. She finds out about Essie. It feels like there were so many missed opportunities where all of them could have made the decision that ultimately saves them from a lot more pain
Mm.
at some point.
Oh,
And those
absolutely. I feel like their lives
opportunities
would have been so much better,
weren't
so
taken.
different. And also that in that, I'm like, that's why singatanama daughter like that, guys. There's this thing on Twitter at some point, people were saying, Endeva rumemnozovada, because endava daughter liyawathanda. Don't do that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, love yourselves, guys, genuinely.
It-
Hi.
and-
Like that we need to, because I think that thing is like part of the beauty of, I suppose, the gift and the curse, beauty and, you know, ugliness of this whole polygamist thing, like watching it, is to let people, to show people that it's never worth it. Like, even when you look at the funeral or whatever, you look at Joyce and Matipa and Essie, like, look at them and think, was that even worth it? That whole ride with all of them, Jonasi, it was not worth it in any way, shape, or form.
Also,
mm.
why wasn't Essie invited to the funeral, but Matipa was?
What don't you look with it?
Or the body. But yeah, that's the thing. So that's where I kind of feel I think I kind of understand you saying like I kind of felt like yes, Joyce, I understand, and but even the whole like Essie, like why are you then trying to one up Essie? There was still a control thing, right? There was still an optics thing of, I'm the wife, I'm gonna bury Jonasi or whatever. And I think for me, one of the big lessons nje, is just like in life when you take an L, it's fine. Just take it.
Mm.
Like don't try to whatever, because you don't even know what you're being protected from. When you're ghosted, ghost. Like it's fine. You
Yes,
actually
that's
don't know.
avoid that, avoid that.
Exactly. When things happen,
It,
just leave it, because even that scene, like Joyce begging Jonasi, Matipa, everything, like Matipa, like from the moment she tried to get that, it's just like sometimes you don't even know, because no one wins in this. So to the point that you were saying, Sen and I took to then, why did she do this? To be honest, I kind of understood the whole, but I was a bit uncomfortable with it, right? Because to your point, I do think it would have been uncomfortable for them to like step away, but it would have saved them. And then the Joyce thing, right, is if you look at she's kind of one, but she hasn't, because even when
no.
she died, even when he died, and like you could tell she actually broke down.
Hmm.
She was actually sad. And then the ultimate thing is that she has lost because Menzi is going to be like his
Yeah.
father. So in a way that maybe would it even have been better for them to be like divorced, so that sometimes maybe that's why they say it's better for the children to not even be in the environment. Would it have been
Hmm.
better for Menzi to see his father almost grow up and have like a fuller story to tell, right, than the shorter story that he had to tell? Because we're just seeing, like, after everything Lindani has done, Manzi, like, after everything, and it just showed me that, oh, no one is bigger than the program. No one is
No
bigger
one is
than
bigger
the
than the program.
environment. No one
No
is
one is
bigger than
bigger
what
than the
they
environment.
observe when they
Hmm.
grow up. So that's why I'm like, Joyce,
And it,
that's where you're gonna lose.
and especially boy children.
Yep.
We learn a lot via osmosis. I think maybe women are more instructional in the way that they teach and the way that they observe and they receive life lessons. Like you guys are very big on let's talk, let's have a sister circle, let's get books and wine and let's do this. I think a lot of us like how to be a man. What is a man? You observe the closest male in your life. If it's your father, if it's your brother, if it's your uncle, you take their cues, their mannerisms, their behaviors, and even sometimes they become how you model what is a man, what is a real man, what is a successful man, what is a good man. And there's different definitions of that. Right? It doesn't what I define as a good man doesn't necessarily mean that the next person or Tabo, when we do the podcast, he'll think of it as the same thing. He might look at it as no, a good man is someone who shows up for his children. I don't have children yet, so for me, a good man is how my father raised children, and it's so many different things that we interpret. And I think for him, even though he might be aware that oh, my father is not this great man, but the osmosis is there. The mannerisms, the behaviors, they're learned because if there was ever a point in time where you looked at him during that period and be like, that's an inspiration, that's who I want to be, regardless of what he was doing, it becomes easier to do what these women are doing the whole time, which is coloring all the red flags pink and then eventually white. And then eventually you're sleeping with your father's ex-girlfriend who killed him.
Also, part of it, I think, is the thing though, where sometimes it's the element of winning, right? That in his mind, that a win is a win. So whether or
Yeah.
not she was my dad's ex-girlfriend, whether or not she's got an HIV, she's HIV positive, you know what I mean? Like it's all like a win is a win is a win because I wanted her first or I saw her first.
But also
And
it's
therefore that
revenge.
part is gonna, huh?
It's revenge. Don't
Yes.
underestimate how many guys you may have rejected in your past that are waiting for you one day to just say, one day.
Also, because it's revenge for,
Just
I think for Menzi, but also revenge for even for Jonas to
mm,
say at your funeral,
hmm.
this is what I'm gonna do. And who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna
Yep.
check me, boo? Like, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, she's just gonna do what she's gonna do. Menzi's gonna do what he's gonna do at the same time as well. Menzi for him is revenge for his dad as well at the same time, right?
Hmm.
And
Yep.
so it's like this whole thing, like this whole toxic thing playing out, that the toxicity hasn't gone because Jonas was feeling and we're even at his funeral. That toxicity
Hmm.
will always kind of live on. But also what
It
I
will
wanted to
always be
add
there.
is that about like they say it takes at least 7 times to try and leave a toxic relationship or like an abusive relationship. So part of it is that I think this is indicative of that, is that at some point, even when people try and leave, it's very hard for you to leave once and be successful at it.
Yeah.
For the most part, like someone is able to kind of reel you back in some kind of way. And I think also Jonas was not someone who was willing to not have any of these women in his life. He was going to do the most. So I
Yeah.
think he always knew what button to press for whoever. And so for Joyce, it's like, okay, if you want me for the renewal, I'll be there. For Matipa, if you want a house, it's fine. I'll get you the house. And you want the kids, cool. I'll do the twins. Okay, now you want to get married. Okay, here's a ring. Okay, now you want lobola. Okay, my uncles are coming. So like he's always willing to give that one thing that you're saying. It would be the thing that if you give this to me, I'll be fine. He was happy to give that to you because
Everyone.
in his mind as well, it doesn't. He's Jonas is for the moment. So if I'm gonna lobola you in that moment, lobola, I'm not thinking about Joyce, I'm not thinking about Essie, I'm not thinking about Sarah, I'm not thinking about Pumi, I'm not thinking about the kids, I'm thinking about me and what it is my needs. And
And
so
my
he's
needs right now is to make you happy in this
yes,
moment.
yeah. So he will lock
Not in
in
future, but for now.
for
Today.
now. For now, for today, for you to be in my pocket, I will lock in. And that was also his, so it's like his failure, but also the thing that got him the women to stay is that he was willing to go for broke
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
every single time.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Woo! Guys, guys, we have to bring this to we could talk about this forever. There's so many things that we didn't touch on. Yeah, like how did Wushe survive? Wushe
Yo,
the receptionist. How did
their
Udoni?
relationship with Magesh, I think that's also a very fascinating
Oh,
dynamic
yeah.
because is he an enabler? Is he a victim? Um, or where does he land? And that's
Yeah.
why I then look at it and I say, ultimately, they were all in his ecosystem and he had the power and he had the money.
Mm.
And then all these people were just like there's so many moments where you realize that well, Kalesakis Kingle and they were dancing. All
Yeah,
of them.
because my guess he's now even got gray hairs and you've been, living this lie. You
But he
could have
gave you a
found
job.
But you could have found a quality woman, because right now the people that you're with think you're married,
So I'm
right?
saying for me, I'm like, they could have divorced 15 years ago. And then
Yeah,
they just become an amicable couple, if they, for all intents and purposes, even if they were still trying to play the game. Because
yeah,
Jonas is like, that's still, I suppose, US is ex, right?
yeah.
And he could have
So,
then moved on and had his second wife.
That
but
was
but I
crazy.
think Jonas would have wanted it to go down that way for maybe his own ego, for
Mm,
proximity, for whatever reasons. I think he wanted it that way. And
mm,
when that same person is the one who pays your salary, and he also bought him a car, right? He also drives a
mm,
fancy car,
mm,
a blue BMW.
mm.
He also has a fancy car. So, and he would threaten him. He's like, yay, you are here because of me. And there's a scene where he makes it clear that I am the power here. And even at the beginning of the relationship, Matipa goes, hey, what about your brother? Njola no putu wako. And he's like, "Khohlwa iloyo." And then you start to see
Mm.
for her as well, like if someone who will sleep with his brother's girlfriend, even though not, and he
Yeah,
knows what's happening, that should have also been a red flag, right?
yeah,
But yeah, I looked at him and I remember just thinking he's also just part of the same ecosystem as these women, subject to the power. There's nothing.
Yeah, and I
Mm.
think because
Mhm.
sometimes with men, people think that men don't succumb to that. And it's like men are, they can literally be in the same orbit in that you can also be succumb to money, succumb to manipulation, succumb to
Hmm.
protecting someone. And
Yeah.
also it doesn't necessarily make you the good guy. Like I think that thing is like there is that kind of push and pull between Magesh being a good guy versus and protect an enabler. And it's like, yeah,
Hmm.
he did right in the end. But in terms of like the 20 years, does that make him a good guy? Or does it also make him someone who's putting your fertilizer into this thing that's creating these kids, right? That because that's that part of the ecosystem of these kids becoming who they became was part
Yeah.
of Magesh's thing. Like he
His
was,
protection,
yeah,
his protection, he's keeping the secret, perpetuating it,
yeah,
running
Mm.
around, all of it.
and
Yeah.
cleaning up.
Mm.
So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, guys. Wow, wow, wow. Like I said, like I think when I was like 3, 4 episodes in, I was now like, wait, did he Udombi? Like the housekeeper was like, wait,
So
how?
from what they say though, with the books, apparently
Yes.
with the book, he slept with everybody. No, no stone unturned, from his PA to abantu abasebenzayo to whatever. Like so, this Jonas that we're seeing, that we're all you know, but actually the book Jonas
Yeah.
is worse.
It's worse.
Yeah, and actually that's a good point. So I'm definitely looking to read the book. And I hope it's now on Amazon because I
Yeah,
think
I
like you
need
were
Sue to
saying.
republish because really, I'm like, I would like to. I've wanted the book since it came out, and I
Mm,
haven't had the chance to. And I hope that this time around it will be republished. Also, because people are now sharing the PDF. I've seen like on Twitter, and I'm just
that's
like,
bad.
That's shocking. That
Yeah.
is shocking.
no, like
That is shocking.
and I hope that. Oh, also, I hope Sue, if someone who knows you watches this,
Mm,
please republish one,
mm-hmm.
two, merchandise. Salama, do all the things, the t-shirts, the whatever, like I mean, or even like if they can kind of collaborate with
Mm.
or stained glass or whatever and do the things like
Push.
Ipele Papa. Like I want a t-shirt that says Ipele Papa. Do you know what I mean? Like I want that on a t-shirt. I need a t-shirt that says Wenja. You know what I mean? Like a tote bag. So
Njoni toilet yako.
thank you. I need those things on a t-shirt. So I
Yeah.
think that's the thing. I feel like the UK, maybe America, there's a lot more drive to merchandising that I feel South Africa is still quite behind. And even like when I go to
Yeah.
concerts and stuff like that, people are not doing t-shirts, they're not doing like the things that people can take or whatever. And I'm like, please, Sue, if you
Yeah.
can capitalize,
Listen,
organize,
and
capitalize.
so definitely guys, let's support Sue. Let's get the book because apparently like the book is like even more dynamic if that's even possible. But Mina, my hope prayer is that her works just sort of like get the same treatment. Like I would love to see Gold Diggers. Senna, if you haven't read
Mm,
Gold Diggers, you
Oh
I
need
yeah.
to.
will.
It
I
Yeah,
have
starts
not
you
read
have
Gold
to.
it
Diggers.
it starts at Mark's garage. Remember
Yes.
Mark's garage? Maybe you were
Kwanda
now.
Road.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe
BP.
Usena is
Yes.
very young. Oh, it was now BPT now. When we were growing up, it
Max
was
got
Mark's
on Max.
garage.
It's still got Max, really, to be honest.
Is it
Even
still
like
called
the
Mark's?
way that I refer to it is still got Max. I no ice as an ice, even whatever
Yeah,
the name
I
is,
Can
say
I tell
Mark.
you?
Yeah.
I say
No,
go Max.
mina ngikhula kwakuthiwa Max Garage. I never understood why because it was BP. I
Oh,
don't know what garage it is now. But I never lana sekhona kuPhararenyathwa and
Yes,
Takawira.
yes.
yes.
You can go Max. It will always be go Max. I think it will never, whatever, whoever owns it doesn't matter, but it will always be
Yeah.
go.
No, I'll
Yes.
But
read it.
it's
I'll
a
read it.
worthwhile book, and I think it's gonna be like if they do turn it. I hope that they turn it into
Mhm.
a series. And if you need
And I think
directors, by the way,
Yes.
nice.
I'm
And
Stained
here.
Glass Productions. Amanda J.
I know
Stuck.
that you interviewed Sue on the Gold Diggers some years ago. I
Yes,
saw the
on
tweet
Gellin's.
came up on my TL the other
Yes,
day.
with Goli, we interviewed Sunya, and in that episode, I need to watch the whole full thing. That's when she said that the rights had been bought for the polygamist. But when someone is saying something and it's before it becomes a thing, like you don't really understand what it means.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I'm in your DMs. Don't blue tick me. Don't just let's have a conversation.
Remember me?
Remember, Kubule Kaya.
Pincha Kapdala.
But no, but I understand that she's been like, oh, this is amazing, and I think it just shows, like, yeah, like there's a lot of Zimbabwean talent, like just
Very
across
good
the board,
storytelling. Brilliant storytelling.
Well,
and
it makes
yeah,
me so actually I wanted to say this, that it's the sad part where a lot of the stuff could have actually been done in Zim.
yep,
Like I think it's the industry is not being taken, I think, seriously enough. And
mm-hmm,
that's what I was talking about, like how South Africa really is now taking the whole idea of show business as business.
yep,
And I think Zim, if they can just do a bit more, because that thing, Sue, you know what I mean? Like these could have been done hudala, and
mm-hmm,
it's taken something else, like, you know, like another entity to come into it. But also the idea of how, as Abantu, we are stronger together.
yep,
So Usu being a Zimbabwean writer, where her story is now being done in South Africa, and you have South African actors, but also you have, like, I think Akin Omotosho is like Nigerian, but he's lived in South Africa and he's created
Yep.
content in South Africa. I mean, since generations. And you're Archie, was it Archie? Was this other guy?
It was
Oh man,
Kaya.
was it? No, was it Kai?
It was Kaya on
Yeah.
Generations.
So, but like, you know what I mean? So it's like people who have invested in the arts, in spaces and stuff. And so, like, I think as Africans, in terms of like kind of coming together and telling our stories our way, it's always going to be stronger.
I think
So,
it's
like,
brilliant. I
yeah,
think it's brilliant. And I love that it came in the month where Abraham is so strong in South Africa. And then you're like, actually, your Netflix #1 is by a Zimbabwean author. So, yay. Thanks.
yeah, no, that's amazing, that's amazing, and also oh no, let me end it on a positive. Because
Yes.
I was gonna say
Yes.
Zimbabweans like do this thing of like all of a sudden, yes, one but
hey, you are back at the ranch.
I saw ZBC write an op-ed about it. It
yeah,
was, oh, brilliant, brilliant. Mati, as the broadcasting corporation, you guys should be a little, I won't say embarrassed,
mm-hmm,
but you should be at the forefront of stories like these and
exactly,
creating of retelling them and pushing them. It shouldn't, and I guess what you mean by it, Netflix is great and everything, but it would be nice if it's something that was made home and then we're licensing it to Netflix as a complete
Yes.
product.
Versus Ukelana
Whereas
26 Lani, guys. This is where
yeah,
the industry is
because
going.
yeah, and then it's
And
easier
even
from
Zim,
there.
because and because the book is actually set in Zim. Do
yeah,
you know what I
it
Mm.
mean? So
is,
it's like all these things where it's like this book that was set in Zim as a Zim thing is now
yeah,
Mm.
being taken by another entity, and it's like it's done well, but yeah, it would have been
Mm.
really great if in 2012, when the book came out,
yeah,
2012,
yeah, 2012.
if then like 2012, 2013, 14, we are seeing that being done
Yeah.
by Zim.
And even the fact that not even about like would it like the polygamist or whatever, right? But even the fact that Nje, even as we speak, like just across Zoom, whether it be like on ZBC or whatever, there's hardly any support for like things that are out like non-Harare, like think about Bulayo, the talent, Amakos Theatre, like the home of the arts. Think about just the talent in that city, not even counting the people from that city who are not in that city. You know what I mean? So I think there's just something there. But you know what? A win is a win. A win
And
is
I'm
a
not
Win is
win.
a
was
win.
effective for me. Like as a
Mm,
kid, I think being there was one of those bright sparks,
mm,
I have
mm.
to say, from like, when I
Yeah.
was a kid.
No, guys.
Quant-
Thank you so much. If you guys have got to this part of the episode, you guys are the MVPs, MVPs, MVPs. And I hope I know some of you like you're not like from Zim or whatever, but I hope you indulge this and please do check out the Polygamist. There's subtitles, like you can still follow the whole thing.
There's
Like,
even dubbing.
yeah,
It's
apparently, yeah,
dubbed in
that
English.
Although Americans are having a meltdown about that.
like it doesn't matter because I'm just like, why don't you just look at the subtitles? But you know what, but guys, make sure you watch the Polygamist. And a big, 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 big thank you to Sena from 6 Foot Waves. And Sena, you used to do like your, what did you used to call them?
IP Thursdays.
IP Thursdays. Are
Yes.
you still gonna make that into a book? You should.
I actually, oh, so maybe let me give you the official update now that you're here. I'm going to
Ba-da-ba-boom.
let me share my screen real quick. Small, 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 small. So the what was hard to do over the years, I couldn't, why I stopped writing IP Thursdays, and at the time maybe I didn't communicate it well. I stopped because I got really busy at work.
Mhm.
Um, it just because it would take 5 hours of preparation, research, and writing, and then posting. And then the posting would also be like your whole Thursday evening is gone. Now, when you're still a junior member of staff, unmarried in your 20s, you have kind of a lot of time in your hands to do a lot of these things. What happened is over time, I just got busier, time lost, and then I also had the podcast with maps that we still need to make time for during the week. He got married, I got married, and then eventually your responsibilities and obligations change a little. So what I did is I went to Twitter and all the, because I had my notes and everything from all the years. I did the threads, and then I put them all into a Word document, and now it is just a matter of editing. So little by little, I will, what is the word? I'll get it right. And then at the end, it will look something like a book, which has all of the contents. So all of the stories that I ever did
Oh,
during
wow.
those years are all still here.
Oh
I
wow.
now just need to,
That's a lot.
yeah, it was over, what, a 3 year period. So now I just need to edit it and then compile it, and then eventually it'll become a
The
little
book.
compilation. Yeah, book IP Thursday, the book of stories about intellectual property, whatever. And then, but with time, my wife is going to help me read and edit and all of these things. So I'm excited about it. I don't know
Yeah.
when it'll be ready, but I hope by the end of this year I'll have something that is readable.
Oh my
So cross
goodness.
fingers.
Congratulations, Sena.
No,
That
I'm just
is
trying. We're
amazing.
just trying. We're just trying.
That's
Little by little.
amazing. No, no, no. Like that's amazing. I'm so happy. Ah!
So yeah, we'll see. Once we're ready, I'll give you guys a heads up. Maybe Lami, they'll
Mhm.
I'll be back here not saying, right, can we debunk all of these intellectual property cases from all
Because
the years I wrote them?
Senna had one about this Senna had one which went very viral with the Nicki Minaj. So basically, was
Yo,
it Nicki
yo,
Minaj,
yo.
Tracy Chapman?
Yeah, so
The Bobs came out.
yo, yo, yo. That was the first time I was bullied on the internet. So long story short, it was a Thursday, and I'll wrap this up quickly because I know we have to go. It was a Thursday. I wrote an IP Thursday about the case that had happened at the time. Nicki Minaj had sampled Tracy Chapman's, I think JB Can I Hold You Tonight. Now, Tracy Chapman doesn't allow sampling. Like it's something that has been known for years. She doesn't allow it. But I think Nicki sampled it and then she leaked it.
Mm.
And then there was a whole case and everything. So as I would with every IP Thursday, I come on Twitter, I post it. And then at the end, I have my little 2 cents, which was witty with a joke or whatever. I think, yeah, the Bobs didn't like it because I basically insinuated that their queen committed copyright infringement.
Mm.
Ah, they were in my DMs. Yeah, I was dragged. No, have you ever had to mute? Have you had to mute a tweet because you're being cooked?
No, that was it. And you didn't even say anything that bad. That was the crazy
No,
part.
no, no. It was just it comes with it. The other ones who tried to drag me were the Shakira ones, for the
Oh,
World Cup
okay.
song. They don't play.
Which she didn't do that waka waka way. Like that's not her.
Yeah,
That's I
it's
saw
from
the original.
Cameroon.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
Cameroon.
Zangalewa. So, I mean, these are things that happen. So now when I'm editing, actually, I'm even making sure I'm not trying to be too strong in my opinions because I don't want a defamation case. So
Oh,
Oh,
that's the the care that I now need to draw the line. Because when you're
I mean,
posting on the internet, it's
be
easier.
strong.
But
If
when
you
you
can get away with being strong with no defamation, because I feel like Strong's opinions are
true, but
what is also necessary and important.
100%. But we're living in the biggest stan culture moment of all time.
Or they don't
Um,
read Sena, so if it's in a
yeah.
book, like it's fine. It's hidden.
Yes, they're gonna come for you.
All it needs is all it because I think these people actually look for if I mention they look for keywords every single day.
Mm,
They search up their stands names, they look for the keywords, see what's being written about them, and
mm.
then they react. And that's the cycle. So
Can
I'm
I
trying to
ask
be
what
very
that's like?
careful.
Sorry, when you opened your phone, the moment you opened your phone and you saw the red, like the notification
The
thing.
notification. Do you know
Yeah,
what? I
what
used to
was that like
actually
for you?
so back in the day when the notifications were a lot, I knew it was a good thread. So like the Lion King, I think there was one that even got me like on that's the one that got me on SABC, I think, to just come talk
Uh-huh.
about IP. So that was how do I put it? That was it's a nice feeling because you get like that. I don't know, there's
Buzz.
endorphins that come from the notifications. Hey, like
Mm,
like it's so nice because you feel like, oh, people actually like what I'm doing. It's like the ultimate validation, and it's strangers, right? And it's many of
mm.
them, it's thousands. So that feeling was nice. So I remember when I logged in, I was like, yeah, no, today I cooked again. You know what I mean? Gandhi, I was being cooked. So then I opened the quotes. You bloody African, bloody know nothing, go back to the jungle. How can you come for the queen? I got some in my DMs where someone even threatened me. They're like, we'll find you. You can't, it's not allowed to talk bad about people you don't know about. You don't even get the facts straight. I'm like, no, the facts are well researched.
Yeah,
Um, like, no, you don't even get the facts straight. Don't talk about the queen or we'll come for you. I'll find out where you. I'm like, yo, bro. Like,
bruh.
what kind of lawyer are you?
But no,
So
Sena, yeah.
so I was like, okay, cool. This one's gone left, so I muted it. I left it there. And then now when I'm doing it, I remember that experience, and I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I need to make sure that whatever I'm saying is backed up by facts, backed up by law, but also my opinions don't ruffle too many feathers. Like you said, Amanda, I can be strong,
Mhm.
but I'm not trying to get in trouble. So that will take a bit of time to just work through, but we'll get there.
No, you were traumatized, but no, don't worry. Just maybe be careful about like the social media blurb. But it's in the book. Don't worry, they won't find it. It's
I hope
fine.
so.
But no, congratulations, Ah,
Not yet.
Amanda.
Once it's done. Once it's done.
Yes, no. So thank you, Senna, for your time, Amanda.
No, thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much,
much for
Nat.
your time.
Always
Our
a pleasure.
filmmaker extraordinaire. You know me, I'm always waiting. I'm waiting for the updates of the films and what's happening. But I won't put
They
you on the
will
spot.
come. Don't worry. They are coming.
Just now.
No, that's fine.
We
But
shot something recently, so it was yeah. So I'm gonna now be, I think, in post production for quite a bit, and then hopefully all the things will come out. Because I wanted to do stuff that was gonna go into festivals, but now I'm like, actually, I'm
okay.
just gonna just put it online
Okay.
instead. I'm more in a space where I just want people to see the stuff. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
nice festivals. It's good because like I guess it gets you like industry buzz, but at the same time, I'm like, actually, I just want more eyes and have conversations about the things that I'm doing because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of the stories that I make, I want people to actually converse about them, and they're about either documenting a subsection of life, but also creating conversations that I think are just important. So that to
Yep.
me is more important. Like, so just to do the work
Mm-hmm.
and have the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
What we did
Okay.
today.
So
Cool.
yeah.
And where can people follow you on socials, Amanda?
I'm Amanda J. Sibanda on everything. So at Amanda J. Sibanda on everything from Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the
Okay.
vibes.
Fantastic. Senna?
Same Senamiso Moyo
Okay.
on all my social media platforms. But of course, if you want to listen to the podcast, we are trying to come back on 6 foot weights.
Mm-hmm.
Life has been hard, but I think next week we're sitting down to Mr. Maps again for the
Okay.
first time in in a while. So it's at 6 foot weights on Twitter. You can hit us up there. It's quiet at the moment, but we're making a comeback.
That's good. That's good. Thank you so much. I've been Natasha with Sena and Amanda. Yeah, the polygamist. There's so much that we didn't talk about. So make sure you guys like comment, let us know what you guys think. And again, congratulations to Sue Nyathi. Like,
Brilliant.
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the cast, everyone. And hopefully, listen, we'll have IP Thursday, like we'll have like a Netflix sort of like documentary thing style. We'll have Amanda with her films showcasing. And listen, Amanda, like I said, I'm available for casting. Say that if you need me to, not that, you know.
No, you
But
can deal with the bobs. I mean, you've got Spilly on with those people on the internet.
listen, yeah, no. I'm a
That's a
listen,
keyboard
Bob.
warrior.
No, I once got dragged by people from UCT. Anyway, we'll stop there. Yeah, it's very tough when you have that moment and you have to tweet through it and you pretend as if you're now tweeting about other things and not the thing that people are dragging you for.
Yay. I remember that evening there was a football match. It helped me.
You start tweeting like, oh, look at Mbappe, wow. Oh my god. But anyway, yes, guys, thank you so much. The Polygamist. Don't be polygamist, guys. And let's check out Sue Nyathi's books, Gold Diggers, A Family Affair. Apparently that's really good and it's also set in Bulawayo, so I need to read that one.
Yeah, I have a family affair actually.
Really?
Yeah, I had it. I didn't realize that I had blurred my background, but
okay.
Nice.
Never mind.
Yeah, no.
But,
So we need to read that. But guys, Gubonga Mina, thank you so much. Thank you. Bye guys. Lisa Bye.